Banana Slam Jam.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hi. So you said this is a weird time zone for you. Where exactly are you from?
Yeah, thank you for that. By the way, it just helped me a lot. I'm from Sweden,
Oh,
so
okay.
I guess it's 10 p.m. But it's fine. But thank you so much for making it easier for me.
Yeah, no problem, dude. It's always been a slight issue. A lot of my coachees are actually either European or Southeast Asian, so the time
Yeah,
zones
I
can
can
get a
imagine.
little funky there.
Yeah.
But okay. So, by the way, I do apologize about when you asked me, do you need anything for today? I get a lot of emails, so I get a little confused on who I talk to about what. I do 100% remember you asking me that. I just forgot
But
who's who here. So
it's really no problem. Because I mean, I have prepared some replays, but still, the thing why I just wanted to talk about the heroes is because I've watched your series with Eri,
okay.
and it's just like it was so good. I mean, it felt like Dota became a whole other game to me. So I feel like I'm like at his level. I'm not. I would not say I'm better. So I just there are a lot of things. Probably everything you taught him actually I could learn as well. So I've just been implementing those things, and I've just like gone from maybe 1K MMR to like 1400 just by winning games, just by doing the things that you said to him. So that's why I was like asking you if we just could talk about, because I feel like if you watch some of my replays now, you will probably just repeat yourself. That because I still have not learned to execute all the things that you actually have taught him that I need to learn. Do you understand me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
I it's
but
really cool
maybe
to hear. By
I
the way, I just want to say it's really cool to hear that you learned so much from that, because my goal is with that content was that anyone in any bracket could learn from it, including the people already in his bracket, and a lot of people were arguing that the content I was giving him was like above the 1K level. So I'm just telling you that I do appreciate hearing that you could apply that knowledge to your 1K games and you felt like it
yeah, I
was
mean,
making a significant difference.
it's so weird because I'm not good at this game, but I do love it, and I always felt like I have no idea what I'm doing in the game.
Yeah.
Like, and then you came with a map. Like you take what's it called? Yeah, their safe lane tower, and then mid tower, and then Roche, and it's like when we do those three game things, we win the game.
Yeah.
Most
Absolutely.
of the time, of course, we lose, and like I sometimes
There's
don't play
throws,
well,
there's
but
misexecution in team fights, buttons not pressed, whatever, right?
yeah, but still, like I have this game plan, and that was list, and also like when you taught him to like just to think about what to do after every kill, just to because so many times I was just wandering around the map with low man and low HP, and it was like nothing. I just did nothing, and so I really
Don't be a
appreciate it. I think
useless
that
piece
was
of
the best.
shit. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I tell myself that.
What position do you primarily play, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, of course. And this is the weird thing, I guess. I don't know. I like everything, and
Okay.
I guess that's a drawback. I'm playing a lot of offlane, a lot of support after just watching Ares games, and also like some carries game, and that's I actually enjoy every position. Maybe not mid so much, but
Hey,
I
we're
I,
lying
I
there.
think that I should probably start to like choose one role, but this week when I just applied your stuff, I've just been winning most of my games as any uh as any position. So I don't really know
Okay, yeah,
what
that's
what
fine.
and when I say I'm winning a lot, I don't want to brag. I know I'm not good, but it's just like if I compare it to how much I won before, it's a big change.
Well, yeah, the goal, like, to be clear to everyone, like, when you're grinding MMR and stuff, the goal is to make you have, like, a 60% win rate ish. You know, like, you're stuck in 1K, you're stuck in 2K, whatever you're stuck in, even if you learn this new knowledge or learn, like, something that's going to drastically improve your play, you're still not crazy better than you were before, right? You're just maybe you
Yeah.
have something you can do that you didn't. So now the goal is, instead of winning 50% because you're stuck at 3K or whatever, is to win 60%. Because then if you play 20 games, suddenly you gained 100 MMR or 120 or whatever. So it's just kind of, that's the goal, right? Is to feel like with the knowledge I'm able to give you, or it's first off to make the game more understandable. Like, I think Dota's a tough game to grasp in a lot of ways, but it's also like, if you start to grasp these things, you start to understand them, you don't have to be playing with 1K players anymore. You get to play with the players that are either more mechanically skilled or know more about the game. And that's, I think, kind of climbing up the ranks in that way is very enjoyable. Like, personally, when I have been climbing my secondary account, the one that's at like 7,700 now, I've noticed distinct differences along the way. Even when I'm like tilted and I'm at 7K on that account, and then I raise the account up to 7,700, the difference in MMR never stops. Like, if you're 7K and you're 7,700, there's like a drastic skill difference between that. Just like there's a drastic skill difference between 2,000 and 2,700. There's a big difference there. So that's what I'm trying to get you to, or trying to help you enjoy. And so people like who haven't had full context on this conversation, he basically asked me to do a coaching session on like hero matchups, and like talking about that in a generalized concept. So I guess my question for you is, you had an idea of what you wanted to gain today. What exactly are you going for with this? Like, is it for drafting? Is it for learning to understand the game more? Like, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah, good question. I appreciate it. I think the first thing, like, because I think I wrote to you in my first mail that I feel myself, if I pick offlane and they pick two supports, I guess I don't really think so much about what hero I'm picking. I mean, I don't really, and I understand it's hard for you to like explain every matchup. That's virtually impossible. But I think that I appreciated one. I think in one section with Airy, you started to talk about like Ursa, and like his weakness was that you needed to kite him, and you talked about strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. And I probably general, some drafting, and also some general like strength and weaknesses on all heroes. And if we can't make all heroes, maybe just do the most important ones, because I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of every hero. I mean, at a basic level, like
what their abilities do.
Okay. But I do not have any. I mean, to be honest, like if you pick Templar Assassin mid, I have no idea what counters Templar Assassin. Do you understand? Like, I want to know, like, what's the weakness of Templar Assassin, or any supports or offlane. I don't know if it's possible, but that's what I would like to gain.
Okay. Yeah. I'll start us off then, right? I'll start us with okay, so obviously hero matchups, it's tough, right? Like, it's obviously something that it's a hard subject to tackle. It's easy to talk about in small doses where, I'm in the current coaching session, and based on this game, I can tell them about good matchups and stuff and why. But other than giving specific examples, it is a very hard subject to talk about. So this is going to be my attempt at trying to do so. So basically, the core concept you talked about of like understanding all the heroes is really important, like what their abilities do. But then my goal of the Airy coaching session is, or like that, the approach to those coaching sessions was, a lot of it, like you said, you understood, was I was talking about like the map and what objectives you want to take, what different parts of the map mean. Like the most aggressive move you can make is running into the opponent triangle. The most defensive move you can make is, playing in your own jungle. Like why this area becomes dangerous when it does, what this area means. Like, so what I mean by that is that I want, if you were to watch that content and consume it, the goal is that first and foremost you understand at a basic level, similar to the hero abilities, but at a basic level, what each part of the map means. Like what I
did my best to explain as this is what this area of the map means. This is an aggressive move. This is a defensive move. These are the objectives you're looking for. This is where you want to farm if you're farming safely. This is where you want to farm if you're farming dangerously. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when it comes to hero matchups, it specifically matters in the laning stage, but it also matters with how they want to play the map, like where these heroes like to play, how they farm, what objectives they like to take. And so at a very basic level, a perfect example would be Bristleback versus Chen or Beastmaster. Chen and Beastmaster are summons-based heroes that want to shove towers super early. And they're almost purely right-click physical damage. Like, that's the way they kill you. Like, they run at you with a bunch of summons, and they bring down your towers. Imagine a Bristleback with a Vanguard in front of a tower against Beastmaster Chen. They can't do anything. Yeah. They literally cannot push towers. They cannot function. They cannot do what their heroes want to do in the game if Bristleback is in front of them. So, that's a perfect example where it's not like a lane counter necessarily. It's not like the Bristleback kills them, but Chen and Beastmaster have a specific game plan that gets shut down by a Bristleback being on the other team. So when you think about Chen Beastmaster's game plan, they want to run in, they want to push towers. Heroes like Bristle, I mentioned it in Sand King in one of my YouTube videos. I picked Sand King. I just sandstormed in front of a tower with a Vanguard. These heroes that are willing to stand in place and say, run through my shit, would be really good against these push lineups with a bunch of units, right? Because they have this AoE damage. Yeah. That's like a perfect example of what I mean by game plan counters.
That's a good example. It's a thing that I should know, but I just don't think about it.
Absolutely. So when your first question was or your first mention was, actually let me ask a question real quick. So this is obviously a very generalized topic, and I'm gonna try to make it as applicable as possible to all scenarios. What lane would you like to start with? Because I kind of have to approach this conversation with a specific lane in mind.
Yeah, totally understand. But let's talk. But we can start with. Then we can start with offlane, because I think that's what I've been playing the most.
Okay, we'll talk about.
I like heroes like Brewmaster, Lardar. I play a lot of Underlord. Mostly because I think it's easy to get last hits with him.
Underlord is very easy to last hit with. Okay, yeah, so that's fine. So we're gonna approach for now the entire conversation from the perspective of an offlaner. Okay. So obviously every patch it's a bit different, but for the sake of the most relevance I can give to this, I will reference it mainly from the perspective of drafting in pubs this patch. So. When I'm drafting in pubs and I'm off lane, I would say 90% of the games I'm picking third, fourth, right? Like I'm picking most games, maybe not in the lower bracket, maybe it's not always this rigid, but most games for me, I see two supports on each side, and then I pick my off laner based on those alone. Yeah. So what I like to think about is, first and foremost, the two options I think are what synergizes well with my support, and then what opponent carry counters my support. Because, for instance, Rubik is actually really hard countered by PL. If you've ever played Rubik into PL, you Fade Bolt, the PL pushes W, removes the debuff, and stops all of his illusions from getting hit by the debuff. And then he just runs at you with 8 units, and then you're a Rubik with lift. You're a Rubik with telekinesis, and unless you've stolen Fissure or some AoE spell, you're just gonna get gone on and die. So in my experience was, if I have a Rubik 4, I can't pick an offlaner like Clockwork that just gets fucked by PL, some single target damage hero that can't deal with illusions. I can't pick it. I have to pick Centaur or Underlord or Brewmaster or Sand King, or I can't Rubik's Slardar isn't really a lane, because Slardar is really bad against illusion heroes too. So while
So
some go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to get this down because I try to write down notes like Ari did. Because the first thing you think about is like what synergizes with your support, and the second thing would be like what opponent carry counter your support. You don't think about what counters you.
Yeah, so the thing is, right, is that if I have a this is hard to explain. Okay, so if I have a 4 position, let's say Earthshaker, and I pick a hero that's countered by illusions. It's like, even though Earthshaker doesn't hard counter illusion heroes, even if they were to lane counter me with an illusion hero, I still have an Earthshaker to deal with this hero, like to do something to this hero. But if I pick a hero that's also countered by the same shit as my 4 position, and they pick it, I'm fucked, right? Like, I'm literally not only do we lose the lane, but then we just have like no way to deal with this guy like later in the game, right? So it's not necessarily that I'm not worried about what counters me. I even made the huge mistake yesterday, or maybe it was the day. I think it was yesterday. I picked DK in a game where we had like 2 immobile strength heroes, and then the opponent just picked Batrider, who counters these immobile strength heroes that can't like defend themselves. And so because I picked a hero that's countered by the same shit as my teammates, the opponent picks a hero just by coincidence. Like, it's total luck. Like, he didn't see our picks yet, but he picks a hero that counters our entire lineup. Like, it just counters everything. So my point is, though, my first perspective is I want to eliminate or minimize the chance that the opponent just wins in the draft or wins strategically. And while in your bracket it's not as important, it does matter. Like, if you know why a hero counters a hero and you pick it and you play accordingly, it makes like a huge difference. Like, it'll, you'll just win games because you're like, okay, I know this hero counters this hero for this reason. I'm going to capitalize on it. Maybe I'll kill him an extra couple times, and then suddenly the game looks way better. So let's go ahead and
I also want to learn for the future. Like, as you say, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter as much now, but I still want to feel like if I advance, I just want to know approximately. And these things you're telling me now, they are great. You just keep on. I think it's very good.
Okay, so yeah, my goal not only is to like fix your knowledge now, but also hopefully give you a way to ask yourself later. That's always my goal. But especially in something like this. So when I'm off lane, I can't see what the opponent's going to pick, right? Like, I don't know what they're going to pick. In your bracket's even less predictable. In my bracket, usually I can be like, okay, there's a few heroes that do really well against my supports. This carry knows it. I know it. So he's probably going to pick one of those. So I can eliminate what he's going to pick. In your bracket, they're just going to pick whatever the fuck. That's like kind of what's going to happen. So I don't want to give you the approach of like, let's try to predict what the opponent's going to predict. That's like that, like in your bracket especially, the variability on that is just so high that it's like, why would you try? We'll talk. So first and foremost, I said thinking about what synergizes in lane and in game with your 4 position, and then what also counters your 4 position. So one thing that I think is really important with your 4 position is that there's 2 types of 4 positions, and they're pretty distinct. There's the like Lena's type heroes that are gonna sit in your lane, harassing consistently and nuking. And then there's the ones like Tiny who are going to be in your, or Pudge. They're going to like sit in your lane, maybe go for a kill, and then leave. Like, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, okay.
So I like to think about where my 4 position hero likes to play. Like, do they want to be with me all the time? Do they want to leave me? Do they want the lane after I'm level 6 or something? What kind of hero are they? So I'm just going to give extremes. Like, a perfect example of a hero that wants your lane is Lena. Like, she wants your lane. If you get a 4 position Lena, she wants to, like, at the 5-minute mark-ish, she wants to be dragon slaving creeps and getting CS for herself. Yeah. So, like, that's just how it is. Like, what else is she going to do in the game? Like, literally ask yourself, what else is a Lena support going to do in the game? other than nuke creep waves. That hero just doesn't do anything. She doesn't set up ganks. She doesn't like move around the map quickly, survivably. Like she can't roam. You know, she's just gonna sit in the lane nuking. So at that stage, I don't want to be a hero that sits in lane nuking. So like Lina Necro, dog shit combo. Why? Because both heroes want to sit in lane nuking. So it's like, you know, well, they do the same thing. So like if I have a Lina, I either want a hero that gets level 6 and leaves, or can jungle. So it can be like an Axe, it can be a Beastmaster, it could be, you know, a Bounty Hunter, it could be, you know, a Bat Rider who looks to, you know, get 6 and run around the map. It can be any of these heroes, but it can't be a hero that wants to sit in lane nuking, because that's what my 4 position wants to do. And then at the same time, if I have a 4 position Tiny, I don't want to pick offlane Clockwork, because both of those heroes want to get some levels and then run around the map killing people. So then nobody's farming, right? Nobody is doing anything. If I have a Tiny, I want to pick like Venomancer or Necro, or I want to literally pick heroes that sit in lane pushing it. Like that's what I want to do, because my Tiny doesn't do that, right? So it's like remember in the Airy coaching session, I talked about how, you know, there's responsibilities that have to be done on the map, right? There's lanes that have to be pushed, and such. So what I mean by applying that to hero matchups is that it's really important not only to think about the opponent, but it's also to think about the synergy in your lineup of, okay, this hero does that, I don't want to also do that. Because then suddenly what it usually ends up happening is you have 2 heroes that run into each other a lot, because they're naturally wanting to do the same thing. They're like taking each other's farm. It's kind of like if I pick Drow in my Drow, like this triangle ancient farming carry, and my ally mid picks Medusa, we're both going to be, if we ever lose the lanes, we're just both going to be sitting on the triangle sharing creeps. Like that's what's going to happen, because both of our heroes farm the same area. Like that's what they do. So like, you know, Drow Medusa on paper seems like, yeah, sick. Like Medusa gets all that free agi, free attack speed, free damage, yeah. But like if you talk about the 8 to 15 minute mark, where the fuck do they farm? Like there's nowhere to go. So usually you don't see those 2 heroes together. Usually, like obviously there's exceptions, there's ways to make it work sometimes, but usually you don't see those heroes together. So approaching it from the off lane, it's usually about how you work with your 4, right? It's like so I usually break down and eliminate heroes based on my own 4.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I just want to say, because regarding what you talked about with area, I also do that now in my games. After I watch the series, like I try to choose heroes that can do the pushing job, because then I can go do the stuff that you told that needs to be done. But I don't know, maybe that's a mistake sometimes, because then I just don't care about, as you said, you don't want to nuking farming heroes.
Okay, the thing, here's the deal. So I actually, it's funny, I actually kind of predicted you'd ask a question like that, so it's fine. Like a question that I would naturally think would come to people's head would be, you know, BSJ, if I have a nuking wave clearing 4 and you told me in lower brackets the best way to carry is to wave and nuke, or like nuke and wave clear, what am I supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to just hold my 4 position nukes waves properly? So in that spot, so the cool thing about Dota, and what a lot of people don't think about at like a more advanced level, is there's a lot of heroes that have multiple ways of playing the game. So like they can either be hard farmers or not. Like some games that hero will be 4th on the net worth even as a 3. In some games they'll be like 2nd on the net worth even as a 3. Just kind of depending on what heroes are on their team and what they can do in the game. I'm trying to give like a perfect example. I would say Legion is like a perfect example, where some games, if I have a good start and I'm allowed to show in lanes, I'll be able to farm like 3 items and be like constantly running around the map pressuring. And then some games, if I show in lane, I just die, so I have to like go first item blink, and I'm never allowed to show in lane ever again. Like I'm just never allowed to show myself. And so that game, I'll usually be like a blink duel and maybe a save with my W, and that's it. And I'll probably be like low on the net worth. But in other games, I'll be able to consistently show myself in lane. And if I'm allowed to farm lanes, I'm just allowed to get so much gold and net worth. So then if you were understanding Legion at a higher level, you'd start thinking, okay, BSJ has told me that Legion has two ways of playing, completely off map or on map for like the first 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So if I want to be farming as Legion, what kind of heroes kill me if I'm showing in lane? Like, what are the heroes that would kill me? And it's usually like, what is Legion's escape mechanism? Well, she's really high HP for the most part, like decent strength gain. She's really fast, and she has overwhelming odds to make herself faster, and she has a save on herself. So heroes that can chase her long distances and can still kill her through her own save are the ones that would be good. So like number one would be like Storm Spirit, or a hero like Wind Ranger, or like a Death Prophet who chases you down, a Monkey King who chases you down, an Ursa, a Troll. Like these heroes are the ones that kill you. But like if they're a hero with a single slow that I can just remove, they don't kill me, right? Like because I just remove the slow and walk away. So it's like, I tell you there's two different ways to play the hero. If you want to play the hero in the farm-oriented way, then the next step of understanding matchups is how that hero functions doing that. Like, how are they survivable? How do they farm? What do they, like, what is their necessary skill build to do that? What items are they going to go? And it's like, simply put, some heroes are really good against certain items, and some heroes are really bad against certain items. So it's like, if I'm an Ursa and I know that the enemy mid naturally buys a Yule Scepter, that will make the matchup worse because Ursa is bad against Yule Scepters. It's like, if I... in the past, it's not this simple anymore, but a lot of the most popular Batrider counters were carries that could feasibly buy a Lincolns. Like, that's what it used to be. It's not really like that anymore, but I'm just giving an example where it's like the Weavers of the world were some of the best heroes against Batrider because they could rush Lincolns, and Batrider gets countered by Lincolns. That was
also
back
about how...
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's also about how items and heroes work together.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not only heroes. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because every hero in the game, right, they have a natural build they want to go. Like, almost every hero in the game has an ideal item build, right? Like, if they could build those items every game, they would. Like, that's what they would do. So a lot of times matchups can be really bad if your hero's just naturally really bad against whatever items the opponent makes. I want them, like, even if that hero's okay against my hero, I want them to have to build items that they don't want to build. It's like a perfect example was yesterday on Terrorblade, or 2 days ago. Like, Terrorblade's bad against Arc Ward. Why? Because I have to buy an MKB. I can't function in the game without an MKB because he has this bubble for all of his teammates. I can't play. So I have to go, like, third item MKB on a Terrorblade. That's, like, ass. So it's like, even though Terrorblade can deal with Arc Warden to some extent, and, like, it's not, like, a hard counter, I have to build an item I don't want to build. Like, in an ideal game of Terrorblade, I'm never building third item MKB. Like, that's just not fucking happening. So that's, like, a perfect example of, because I'm forced to inconvenience myself with an item, that's, like, a soft counter, right? So hard counters are usually matchups that you can't itemize against, right? Like, no matter what, the matchup's just bad. While soft counters are usually matchups where I have to buy this item to address this guy. It's annoying, but once I get the item, I'm good, So it's like, that's why soft counters are kind of like, they're playable, but if you fall behind, they're usually pretty bad, because if you fall behind, then you spent your money that's so precious because you're behind on an item that was meant to just deal with one hero, and there's 5 other heroes in the game, or 4 other heroes on the other team. So it's like, if I buy MKB on Terrorblade and I'm behind against an Arc Warden and they've got 3 stuns, I don't have my BKB, I don't have my Scotty to tank through all the damage. I'm just this squishy fuck that can now kill Arc Warden, but that's it. I'm not survivable against the other 4 heroes. So okay, so got on a tad bit of a tangent there, but
but that was good.
So back to the off lane. we talked about how multiple heroes have multiple ways to play.
Yes, exactly.
So Underlord's a good example because you mentioned him in your hero pool. So
Yeah.
like I would ask you, past the laning stage, what does Underlord do?
I would say push towers with the rift, or not? No.
Okay, so let's ignore long cooldown abilities, okay? Like that's just
Okay.
like we want to talk about what you are consistently doing. Like what a lot of players at your bracket don't understand, no offense, is that
No,
the
I'm
game
kidding.
is all about what you are doing constantly. It is the little things that add up, the efficiencies, the
Yeah,
like
okay, okay.
the consistent things you're supposed to be doing all the time. So
Yeah.
almost every hero
I
I'm
might be
talking
doing the
about,
wrong thing.
we're ignoring their long cooldowns. Usually what it
Okay.
means is when you have your cooldown, like I would compare Underlord and Faceless Void, when they have their cooldowns, they're supposed to play the game differently than
Okay.
what they would do if they don't have the cooldowns.
I see.
So ignore your ult for a second. What is
right.
Underlord doing throughout most of the game?
I'm just gonna be honest. I would just kill creeps. And
Okay, what
maybe
creeps though?
participate in team
Where?
fight. On the lane.
Okay, so
I
you're
would just
killing
shove
lane
them in.
creeps most of the time. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, my goal with these questions is to warp your thinking here. So, you're killing
I
lane
like
creeps
that.
most of the time. What lane are you, like, let's talk Radiant perspective. What lane creeps are you killing?
I mean, my off lane, they're safe lane, or
What if you have a carry that wants to farm that area?
yeah, I then I should move.
Where would you go?
Any other lane?
What, like, okay, so you told me you watch these sessions, and I understand you're still learning here. So Underlord's a good hero for shoving in the lane top, right? Like, we're talking Radiant perspective. He's a good hero for that.
Yeah.
Is he a good hero for defending his tower bottom?
Oh, I'm thinking. Yeah. I think it would be. No,
Why?
because he can just clear the creep waves and he can just like root stuff.
What's the difference between a hero that can farm top and a hero that can farm bottom?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm that you can like maybe that you can hide yourself behind the tower or something and not be in the lane.
Okay.
Is that
Bottom,
right?
you're saying? Or top?
Yeah, bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, no, bottom.
So
Bottom, that you
what
can hide.
heroes, if with that in mind, what heroes would be bad to farm bottom? Like a general description, not specific heroes.
Oh no, any hero that needs to show in lane.
Oh,
because
yeah,
they get
absolutely.
low.
Okay, perfect. There you go. You nailed it. I don't know if that's something you heard from me or you just came up with that now. That's perfect. So, like, that's exactly
No, I was
that's
thinking like Lina needs to be in lane, but Underlord it just keeps on raiding. Like for
yeah,
instance.
you just
Or
rain
no,
from a
but
distance.
she can hide a little.
Lena can potentially hide too.
Yeah,
This
she
is
can,
why
because she has
heroes like PL generally don't play their own safe lane, because they have to walk up with themselves and 4 illusions to clear the way. Like that's what they have to do. So if they're in danger, they don't want to play there anymore. While those heroes you don't have to do that in the top lane most of the time, so they naturally function better there. So if you understand at a very basic level that heroes that have to show in lane are naturally worse at defending their own safe lane tower, boom, you understand like half the heroes that want to play there and like the ones that
Yeah.
don't. Terrorblade, great hero for defending his own tower if he can send illusions to defend it, right?
Yeah.
So when would Terrorblade
yeah.
be bad at defending his own tower?
When he's playing against heroes that can kill his illusions.
Absolutely, right? Like if his way of defending his own tower is illusions, then
Yeah.
if the enemy team can just one-shot his illusion, then he's not defending his own fucking tower,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
that. Like, it seems so simple, but that's like this is where you start analyzing Dota. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
but that's one thing also that you're explaining to me now that I don't even think. I mean, like, I'm so sorry, but when I defend my bottom lane, I always show on lane.
oh,
But I
absolutely. People in your
understand that
bracket
I
will all the
should not.
time. Yeah. It's like if you watch my games,
I'm
the majority of the
dying.
time when I'm farming bottom, I'll be playing much more conservatively than when I'm farming top. Like I'll be playing
Yeah.
away from the creep wave. I'll be playing like evasively, but in top, I'm just trying to clear that wave as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
just to speed up my farm or whatever. So the point with Underlord is that could he jungle? Could this hero jungle? Like if you're level 5, you're level 7, could you jungle?
Yeah, I guess you could, but I always feel it's kind of slow.
Okay, so my question would be if you could choose, where would you play the map on Underlord? Like if you had no other heroes in the game, where would you play? Farming. Like where would you farm?
Yeah, offlane or
Okay, offlane. Yeah, I agree with you.
offlane.
So if you have a carry that takes that from you, where would you then go?
Mid lane.
Okay,
Or I mean, if no one is there, like
I'd say it's mid or bottom, right? Like you're going to a lane. Your reaction would be to go to a lane to defend a tower, right? Like that's what your hero would. So this is an example of a hero that can function in multiple ways. Underlord can be a hero that pressures the enemy safe lane, or he can be a hero that defends his own towers. So how would you decide how you do that?
Oh, sorry. Can you say it again?
So Underlord is a hero that can pressure the opponent's towers or defend his own towers. So how would you decide which one you're going to
do? Whether or not which lane is available, where I'm needed.
Yeah, where you're needed. Usually as an offlaner, you're filling in the gaps for your other cores. So if you watch, I actually had an Underlord game. I put it on YouTube. It was with Arteezy. It was like 8 minutes in. He was a Terrorblade, and I knew that Terrorblade wouldn't want to be in his own safe lane anymore. Like I knew based on my own understanding of matchups that Terrorblade wouldn't want to defend his own safe lane against the heroes they had. And I literally said to him, like, I can take bottom lane if you don't want it anymore. And then he instantly was like, yeah, I'll go jungle. And then I took the lane. Because, like, me on Underlord, understanding that it's potentially my job to defend that tower, I know Terrorblade as a hero usually functions better jungling and playing top, usually. So I'm like, hey, man, like, I'm glad to take your lane. I'll go farm here, and then you can go elsewhere. And then we end up getting, like, 2 or 3 random kills because the opponent tries to go on me instead of a Terrorblade. And that's like a perfect example of I understand the map, I understand our heroes, I understand the matchups, and it leads to something good happening. Like it's not, this isn't something you always need to do, but the more often you do it, the more likely it is for the opponent to kind of just walk into you and feed or like look stupid or whatever, especially at your bracket. So, I told you Underlord as a hero has these options, and I asked you if you could jungle, and you said like, yeah, it's not that great, which it's a perfect assessment where you're like, you could though, couldn't you? You could jungle. So when would you jungle?
When there's no lanes to push, or
when all your other jobs that you would rather do are taken. They're already taken. Somebody's already pushing top, or your hero's incapable of pushing top, meaning like you're far behind, so you're too weak to do it. Bottom lane, somebody's already defending it, or you're too weak to do it yourself. Now you're jungling, right? Like this is like the natural decision tree that every hero comes to is you begin to formulate this is where this hero likes to play. This is why they like to play there. This hero makes this hero not play there. You know, like, so that's a counter. You know, it's like, as Bristle, I want to be just sitting in a lane pushing W. That's what I want to be doing. I want to be walking, either defending towers or walking at towers pushing W, like as an offlaner. That's what I want to be doing. So could you come up with a few heroes that make that hard to do? Just walking at towers and pushing W? Like, if that hero were to show up, I couldn't do that anymore?
Do you mean if a hero that's good against Bristleback can do that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel so embarrassed when I don't get it right, but I think that would be maybe something that's I mean, it feels like Bristleback. I think he's weak against like physical. Magic damage, right?
Okay.
Is it?
So Bristleback's not particularly weak against magic or physical. He's weak against heroes. Okay, so when I'm in lane, I'm going to be walking around pushing W, right? So if the opponent goes on me with a bunch of low armor squishies and they try to kill me, They're all going to
Yeah.
take 10 W's and die, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what kind of heroes are good against Bristle then?
People with high HP and high armor.
High HP, high armor, and sustained damage. Like, they can just continuously do damage to me. Okay? Like, because they can tank through my damage, and they can bring me down over the course. Like, nobody's bursting a Bristle. Like, that just doesn't happen, right? Like, you can't...
Yeah.
Unless the Bristle's so far behind, it doesn't matter. Like, we're talking if Bristle's having, like, a good game, right? He's going to have a Vanguard, he's going to have a Hood, he's going to have whatever. He's going to be super tanky. So, we need sustained damage that doesn't die to quills. Or
What heroes do that?
prevents the Bristleback from quilling. How about that?
Oh,
Could you name a hero that could make the Bristle never quill for 15 seconds? Specifically 15 seconds?
Is it Doom?
Yeah. Doom is very annoying for Bristleback to play against, right? Very annoying. A lot of times, like, you even saw it at Tops and at TI. Somebody mentioned it. What also prevents Bristle from quilling? Not just being silenced. What else? What does he also need to cast quills?
Yeah, mana.
So what heroes are really annoying for Bristleback?
Anti-mage?
Mana-burning illusion heroes. Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy, right? Like, that's crazy. Like, does Bristleback burst these heroes? Absolutely not. He stands in place pushing W. If they just send some illusions at him and burn his mana, what does he do now?
Yeah.
Like, fuck. What do you do now? Like, so it's like, as long as he's allowed to have mana, stand there pushing W, and that's a threat to you, that's a problem. So the best heroes in the game are either mana-burning illusion heroes or tanky heroes that out-sustain your DPS. So I'd say the number ones are Doom, Timbersaw, Necrophos, even a hero like Morphling can be super annoying for Bristleback, because he buys Morbid, he's super high armor, and he just hits you. Another example would be Batrider, because he's like the highest sustained damage hero in the entire game. Like mid-game.
Yeah, because of the napalm.
The napalm plus Firefly, you kill a Bristle no problem. Like, Bristleback would need to buy Greaves, Yules, or a Lotus in order to remove the sticky napalm. And even if that means the Bristleback can now play Dota, we talked about this. That's a soft counter, because Bristleback had to specifically itemize to deal with that hero, right?
Yeah.
Is Bristle, if I'm allowed to just go like Vanguard, SNY, Abyssal, that's like the freest fucking Bristleback game in the history of the world. Like, if I'm allowed to go those items, I'm just going to run around the map really fast. I'm going to buy this early game, like, 25, 30-minute Abyssal, and I'm going to two-shot people. Like, that's what's going to happen if I'm allowed to buy these items. But if I have to, go Lotus Orbs or BKBs or, these items that defend myself...
Yeah.
Then suddenly it's not like such a free game anymore. So like the other day I 10th picked Bristle, it was like last week. And I'm like, this is like the freest Bristleback game of all time. The only hero that was good against me was Doom, and he had a rough start, so I just ran around the map killing everybody. And it's just like, in those type of games where it's like a free Bristle game, it's like, it's because I'm allowed to play the way I want to play and build the items I want to build. And so that's what a streamer or player will usually mean when they reference this is a free game. I'm building the items I like and playing the map the way I like. And it's like Bristleback, he's either sitting in front of towers defending them, or he's running down buildings and pushing W and diving people, right? Like that's like the two choices he's got that make a Bristleback game look good. The second a Bristleback can't show in lane anymore, what's he do?
I go jungle.
Would you like to be jungling as a Bristle?
No.
Then your game's ass. Like, if I say it's an ass Bristleback game, I just, like, imagine myself, like, trying to show in lane, and I'll just die. I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna die. Like, usually on Bristle, it's so bad to jungle that unless I'm, like, super early game and I'm trying to recover, I'll just walk down lanes and try to get farm and feed anyway. Like, I'd rather walk down lanes farming and feed than sit jungling. Like, it's almost worse on Bristle to, like, jungle. So,
but the second you would see like Bristleback in the draft, then you would like think accordingly, like you have explained now, and pick a hero that's.
So I'm not going to pick the Beastmasters and Chins, the heroes whose game plan gets shut down by Bristle, and then I'm gonna like eliminate my picks to heroes that are good against what Bristle wants to do. So like,
and also at the same time, like remembering what synergizes with your support and what.
Oh, absolutely. All of these things I'm listing off to you are all considerations, right? And that's why drafting is really fucking hard,
Yeah,
But
it's hard because it's so little time. I don't
absolutely.
even have, I just usually like try to Google counters before I pick. It's so bad.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal, man. So if you've heard me talk about what makes high MMR players, like a lot of the times, I think my knowledge is almost as good as theirs. They just make the decision way faster than I do. Like, so by the time I've realized they're deciding to smoke me, they're like already on top of me, right? Like they're already there killing me. So a lot of gaining MMR in Dota, it's not only having the right knowledge to make the right decisions, but it's making the decisions even faster than the other guy. Like that's what it ends up being at the highest bracket. Like it just means like I have to make the right call in a second rather than 2. You know, I have to know exactly what I'm doing at all times, and that's why a lot of it requires like foresight. A lot of it requires thinking in the exact moment you're supposed to. That's why I talk about when you get a kill, you know, where are you going next? What items are you buying? And usually, like at my bracket, I have to buy those items while I'm walking to my next farming objective, while I'm farming something. You know, I have to do that while I'm doing something else. Like, it can't make me stop whatever I'm doing. I have to do all of these extra things while doing what I'm already doing. It's like, it's one thing to CS freely and like make sure I get every CS. It's another thing to do all these little things, check the map, see where people are, buy my items, queue up new items, you know, check levels, and be getting all that CS. It's like, that's where it gets hard. And that's why when people watch like high level players miss CS and they're like, holy shit, like this guy's 9K, how is he missing CS? Because that guy's worried about 20 other things that you've never even fucking thought about. Like you've never even thought about it, and he's worried about those things. Like that's why it's not such a... Like Dota is such a ninja complicated game. Like the things that are so complicated about it are things that most players don't even know exist, right? Like they don't even think about it. So all these things I'm telling you, when I come to my conclusion of my hero pick, a lot of times people will ask me why I picked my hero, and it actually takes me 2 minutes to properly explain why I picked that hero.
I understand.
But I had to come to that conclusion in like 10 seconds. Right? Like I actually had to figure that out. And that's not like, you know, oh, I'm so smart, you know, you're stupid.
No.
It's like, this is really fucking hard, right? Like if drafting were easy, you know, everyone would be puppy. So the idea is that all these things I've mentioned to you so far, obviously with every other coaching session, just like this one, we're going to, you're more than like encouraged to go back and watch these things. They're all a factor. Every single one. And if I say there's 10 factors to choosing your hero, if you can nail like 5 or 6 of them, like that's great, you know, like if, or you know, like even one of them to start. If you have like one clear-cut reason why you'll pick the hero, what happens is if you pick the hero for that one reason and then you lose the game and it felt like your hero wasn't very good, but you didn't really know why, then you can like come back to this list of things and be like, I was trying to farm top, but this one hero made me not, and it was really annoying, you know? And then you can be like, oh yeah, in the draft I'll have to think about, you know, this again next time. Like, I picked a hero that was good for the lane, but it just didn't scale well against the enemy hero. So we're kind of going in, I don't want to say chronological order, but I'm talking about like first things we have to consider is our own supports. That's what we see in the draft. We see those in the draft every single fucking game, at least for the most part. And that's why, in my opinion, it's really hard to pick first round. Even in my bracket, okay? I just want to say, the average drafter of like 6K, 7K players, like 7K flat, they're fucking dog shit, man. Their game-winning picks are like unbelievable. It is actually unfucking believable. I've been in pubs and I've had like Moo and Sammy Boy and shit in almost every game. I'll have somebody who's like top 20 rage when they don't last pick because they'll fourth pick, and then their mid laner just picks some game ruining last pick, and they're just like, what the fuck? Like I'm last picking every fucking game. It's like it's so funny because so many people are so bad at last picking or like picking in general that a lot of the high MMR players that are like top 20, like they have to last pick, otherwise they can't win. Like because their ally will not pick a good enough hero. But my point being is that it's really hard to first pick, especially in your bracket, because if anyone hard counters you and your teammates just don't think accordingly. So, like, say you pick that Bristleback offlane, and you're hard countered by all these illusion heroes, and then your support just picks Clockwork, and you're like,
then I'm...
Now what? Now what? You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, fuck. Shit. It's like it's one of those things where people may say like BSJ isn't drafting like not nearly as important. It's like sure, if the opponent carry doesn't counter Bristleback, it's not a problem. But if
Yeah.
you both pick a hero that are countered by the same shit, you're giving the other guy the opportunity, if he capitalizes on it, to outdraft you, right? And as you go up in the rankings, it's much more likely, it becomes more and more likely that the guy is going to draft accordingly.
Yeah.
Even then, though,
that's what I
I still have some game-losing picks. You know, people in my bracket will have game-losing picks. Like, it's not like... I would say it's just like everything else in Dota, where the higher MMR you go, the less likely it is that my pick will be bad.
Yeah.
But it still happens. It still fucking happens. I still learn this shit. Like, this process doesn't end, right? I still am learning matchups. I'm still learning drafting. I still make these mistakes. It seems daunting. It seems stressful, but it's also part of, like, what makes Dota so awesome. Or it's just, like...
I totally agree, and that's why I just wanted to talk to you about these things because I know that you have such a deep knowledge of this game. So that's why it's good. But you know what I was thinking. What maybe if could we like go through? I was thinking either if I should like mention like because we have like 10 minutes left, or
No, I usually go about an hour and 20 minutes. So you're good. You got about half an hour left.
Oh, that's nice. But because what I was asking you, should we like maybe if I pick like 5 off-lane heroes, or if I pick like one support, one mid, one carry, and all these different roles, and then we can talk about like their specific strengths and weaknesses. What do you think that? Because then maybe could like pick them in the game, and I can like try to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
If I see like if they pick like hero X, I might I'm gonna pick this just to try to see how it feels to because BSJ say that would maybe counter. I know. I mean, I'm not gonna blame you if I lose. But
Yeah. So I want
we
you.
talked about Underlord a bit and Bristleback. Maybe like Pangolier. What would you say about him?
Okay.
Like,
So what does Pangolier do 90% of the game? You know, what's he doing?
Yeah, I'm so bored. I'm just hitting creeps in lane.
Yeah, you are. Like, you can watch Loogie, man. You're on Pangolier, you're farming a fucking storm. Like, that hero wants to farm. He very rarely wants... Like, he fights. Like, he's ready to fight. But in an ideal world, Pangolier is swashbuckling creeps, right? Like, that's what he's doing. So, what's his method of survivability?
Method of survivability. I mean, his W makes him tankier, but I would say he's a swashbuckle also, like to get away with it.
Okay, yeah, swashbuckle to get away with it, and rolling thunder potentially to get away, right?
Yeah, rolling thunder. Yeah, of course.
So he's really bad against like burst damage that can stop him from rolling thunder, and heroes that can chase him after he swashbuckles.
Okay.
So he's similar to Peel. He's actually very similar to Peel in terms of what kills him. It's things that prevent him from casting his initial survivability spell, and once they create that gap, meaning like PL doppels, Pangolier swashbuckles, if the hero can still chase them down, it's annoying.
Then you're dead. Yeah.
Super annoying, right? So counters to Pangolier. We'll talk about all rules. You know, counters to Pangolier. Puck prevents you from rolling. Storm chases you the fuck down even if you do swashbuckle away.
So you would like never pick Pangolier in a game where you see Storm, for instance?
I would never. No, I think that's like the worst game matchup ever. Like you never kill Storm until you have like 4 items, and he can kill you at almost any given point. Like think about it, right? Like think about your positioning on the map, and if I was Pangolier against Storm, I'd probably have to go like treads, like in a hood or some shit to make sure I don't die to Storm. Which
and does he counters any hero?
Pangolier?
Yeah.
So what does he do in like fights and shit? Like what items does he build? What does he do in fights?
Oh yeah, I just sometimes he stuns. I mean, I try to sometimes I build blink or what's it called?
If you're gonna solo carry the fucking game, what items are you building?
I don't know if I have a good answer to that.
Isn't Maelstrom his like best item?
Yeah, of course.
In an ideal world, would you build Maelstrom every single game? So you're swashbuckling Maelstrom, you're AoE clearing, you're rolling through. What heroes are bad against AoE clear and a rolling boulder that they can't hit?
What heroes are bad
AoE
against...
clear.
Yeah.
And Illusion Heroes.
hero?
He counters the
Yeah,
fuck
okay,
out of like
okay.
Naga
Yeah,
Peel. Like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
super
of
fucking good
course.
against Naga Peel. If I see a Naga Peel and I have last pick
because he
off lane,
swashbuckles and then he procs
yeah.
lightning.
Yeah,
Yes, of
Pangolier is
course.
super good against that shit. And
And also
heroes.
he
Good.
disarms and stuff. So
Oh yeah,
that's also good.
disarms. Any heroes that are hard countered by disarms, super annoying to play Pangolier or play against Pangolier. So the other heroes that he would be good against are ones that he can buy Diffusal against, because that's another build for him. So these elusive heroes that can't really kill him fast, but get mana burned and suck, are very bad against Pangolier. Anti-Mage, Slark. These heroes, where if you're ahead on Pango, they're fucked. But at the same time, if they're ahead of you and Anti-Mage has like Manta Abyssal, he's just gonna fucking kill you. And if Slark has like, 2 or 3 items ahead of you, he's just gonna kill you too. So these are matchups where it's like, if I think I'm gonna have a good start, really good matchup for Pango. If I think I'm gonna have a bad start, really bad matchup for Pango.
Yeah, I understand. That's of course always an issue. If you play bad, then you're not going to win.
Certain matchups, it's simple as what hero gets ahead wins. Like
Yeah.
those are what we call very swingy, very volatile matchups. And those are ones where no matter who's ahead, that guy's killing that guy. Like, meaning it doesn't matter who's winning, but the person who's winning is going to kill the other guy. So, like, somebody in my other game, like Storm versus Monkey King mid, is a perfect example of that matchup where if Monkey King's ahead, he's killing Storm. If Storm's ahead, he's killing Monkey King. Like, that's just...
Yeah.
If it's anywhere... Unless it's perfectly fucking even, those two guys are killing each other. Like, that's what that matchup looks like. So, that's where, matchups become a little hazy, where, as Pangolier, you're either super survivable doing whatever the fuck you want, or you die to, like, one hero killing you instantly. So, like, Bloodseeker can be annoying... PA can be annoying because even though she's hard countered by disarm, if she gets like 2 damage items, she just blinks on you from 1300 range and kills you instantly. But I love playing Pangolier against heroes with low amounts of burst damage and are easily chaseable and targetable. Like they're easily they're not juking you and shit. The PLs, even like the razors, the gyros, the lunas. They're gonna stand in the Naga Sirens. They're gonna stand in place. Wraith King. They're gonna stand in place. You're gonna swashbuckle them. You're gonna roll, and then they're gonna get stunned for like 10 seconds. Like that's what's gonna happen. Yeah. Any heroes that can disengage from my roll, like Jug can be annoying because he can Omni Slash me while I'm rolling. He can spin if I try to kill him. Usually when I'm picking carry, I like to pick carries that don't die to Pangolier when he's 6. Like if I see a Pango, I'm like, I don't want that Pango to kill me when he's 6, so I won't pick the Drowse. I won't pick Terrorblade. I won't pick, Luna. I'm not going to pick these heroes. I'm going to pick heroes that can either get away from him or kill him. Like, that's the 2 options. And if I can pick both, that's great. But most heroes don't do that. So, like, a perfect example is if I see an enemy Slark, this is funny, but I'll just answer to save time. Slark hates playing against heroes that can kill him or do damage to him during his ult. Like, he just hates it. I can't stand it. The worst counters on Slark are, like, Leshrac, Pangolier, like, Queen of Pain, Puck. Like, 90% of these heroes' damage goes through your ult. Like, if I'm ulted and I'm invis, a lot of heroes in the game can't do any damage to me. Like, they can't hit me at all. But all these heroes can do almost all of their damage without seeing me. Like Pangolier Swash, his W, his roll, it all hits me when I'm invis. Like, it all hits me.
I didn't even know that.
So, like, that's super fucking annoying, right? On the other hand, if I'm, like, a Slark against, like, a Terrorblade, that hero can literally do 0 damage to me when I'm in my ult. Like, he can't do anything because he has to see me. So, that's, like, another example of, like, if I'm a carry and I'm picking, it's like, when I say it's the perfect Slark game, like, that's one of the components that... make up a perfect Slark game, where if I push R, I'm invincible. Like, that's a perfect Slark. That's one of the factors that makes a perfect Slark game. Usually, you'll have to think about how every ability functions and all that kind of shit. It's like, the perfect Slark game would be, I can Dark Pact any of their spells, and I don't have to do it preemptively. I can react to it. They're throwing a Venge Stun at me, and I can just push Q as I see it. I can pounce away at any given moment. I can push R and be completely invulnerable, and they can't kite me. Like, if those 5 factors happen, I will not lose a single game on Slark. Like, I will never lose. Like, it's just not going to happen because I've played 800 games of Slark, and that's, like, the dream for Slark, right? But for the most part, in high tier especially, that type of dream game doesn't happen. You know, like the enemy team's draft is usually well rounded enough to not let that happen. Usually they're pretty good at that, but sometimes it does. Like the perfect Batrider game. So let's talk about an offlaner. I think Batrider is a great offlaner to learn.
Yeah, I've never played it, but I'm gonna do it. Yeah, and I would also like you to say like good, maybe 2 or 3 good heroes in every position.
Yeah. So
You don't need
Batrider
to
I think is
mention both,
great.
because
So the
Yeah?
reason why he's great, especially at Your MMR, is he doesn't end the game, but he represents a ton of solo playmaking potential, and he also farms really well. So the counters to Bat are ones where if he's fire flying around, he's flying over cliffs and shit, heroes can kill him. He's really weak against heroes that can kill him when he's doing that. So any heroes like Faceless Void, Storm Spirit, Queen of Pain, high mobility, like stunning, slowing heroes. But like if I'm a Batrider against like support, let's see, like support Lich and carry Terrorblade, and the mid laner is a sniper, I can literally just run around the fucking map doing whatever the fuck I want and they can't kill me. Like, I can literally do whatever I want. I can just, if I firefly on top of a creep wave and run away, they're not killing me, right? So it's like, if flying movement with extra movement speed means I'm unkillable that game, it's the dream, right? Like, I can just do whatever the hell I want. Like, on top of that, though, the other counter to Batrider is his lasso, where if they have a save, right? If they have a Legion, they have a Slark with Dark Pact, they have a Tidehunter that you can't lasso because of Kraken Shell, they have a Batten, like heroes I can't lasso. So like the dream Batrider game is one where I can run around freely farming, and I can lasso whoever I want. Like that's the dream Batrider game, and that's why yesterday I said like this is the dream Batrider game. We literally lost it because he's a Batrider in a dream Batrider game. Like it's just the best Batrider game I've ever seen. We can't win. So in lane, his counters are heroes that can remove sticky. So if you ever get the chance to play Bat when you see the opponent carry, if their carry can't remove sticky, like your hero's really good. Heroes that can remove sticky, you know, Slark, Jug, Naga, PL, Lifestealer, Batten, Legion, any heroes with a Dispel can remove it. Other heroes that are annoying are like Weaver because you can't slow him because sticky is a slow. Faceless Void because he can time dilate you. Anti-Mage because you can blink away. But like if you're against like a Razor or a Bloodseeker or you know a Luna, like you sticky them 4 times and then run on top of them, they're dead, right? Like they're just gonna die. So that's an example of that. And like when I think about supports, I think about supports that kill a really fast guy. Like they either have to have a ton of stun or be Disruptor. Like those are the 2 choices that kill Batrider. It's like if I'm farming as Batrider, and imagine I'm like this super survivable dude, but then Disruptor just a level 7 support with no items. Thunder strikes me and then glimpses me back into his team. It's like, oh. Shit, I'm dead. And I'm like this like super fast guy. So like Batrider's all about mobility. So he's good against low stuns that can't really punish him just fire flying around. So it's like if I see a saving support or like a Disruptor Bane support, I'm not picking Batrider. Like, but if they have like a support AA or a support Crystal Maiden or a support Dazzle or a support Jakiro or like these heroes that just want to sit in the back and they don't do anything to me, like God, it's like the perfect fucking Batrider time to pick. Because even if they pick a carry that counters me, I'm just going to Firefly, cut waves, and get creeps anyway. As long as the support can't kill me, I don't care, because I'll just stay away from the carry, right? I'll just cut creeps, I'll farm. So I like him as like a offlaner to practice that gives you some playmaking potential, because like, you know, we mentioned Underlord, we mentioned Bristle, but they don't really give kill potential, right? They don't give you playmaking. So I like Batrider for that. And then you said... you wanted other positions, like you wanted a support.
Yeah, since I'm not really entirely sure what position I want to play. I think the support you actually explained. I just play the supports that you talked about with Area, Crystal Maiden, and there's Shadow Shaman, and I play some other supports. But maybe how about some? Do you know what are your recommendations Like if you were to recommend me play two
What were your
mids
What were
and
your
two carries.
two mids and two carries? Two mids and two carries.
Yeah, what would you recommend then? And maybe some
In
pros and
this
cons.
patch, I actually think Viper is a really good mid to learn right now. Surprisingly
Okay.
so. He's like a hard farmer. His only bad matchup is Batrider. That's his only bad matchup that I've come to the conclusion of. Every other matchup is playable.
Okay.
He can build items like Atos if he needs to kill the Storm Spirits. He can buy right-click items if he needs them. He's super slow, though. So his only weakness is that he's super slow and positioning-based. But he wins most of his lanes, and then he farms jungle really fast. So the considerations on him are, do I need to kill people with my items? Do I need to make myself faster, so maybe boots of travel with my items? Do I
Yeah.
need to be a hard right-clicker? Do I just need to be an anti-carry and, build like halberds and shit like that to be super survivable and just make them not be able to carry? I like him. I think he's a very consistent mid laner, because if you're only
Yeah.
going to have two mid heroes, I don't want you picking heroes with volatile lane matchups. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think
I think
picking.
I think you said before that you should pick 5 heroes in that
Yeah,
position.
about 5 is good, right? But
But I was like, we can't have time to go through 15
yeah,
heroes.
yeah. I think Viper's a nice consistent one.
Yeah.
And then if we want to talk about like a more playmaking mid that is more flashy, right now it's probably either Void Spirit, Ember Spirit, Storm Spirit, or Quap. I'd say, like, what one of those 4 would you want? Like,
What is it? Void Spirit, Cop, and
the one of the 3 spirits are Quap.
yeah.
So
Ah,
Void,
ah, ah.
Ember, Storm, or Quap.
Then I said Quap. I think I like her the most.
Yeah, Quap. Okay, so Quap, she doesn't really have a recovery method. She's all about her lane, right? So it just boils down to her bad matchups are ones where, like, Viper is a bad matchup for her. Matchups where she can get like outclicked from range. So like Lena's a bad matchup for her
Why is
usually.
Viper a counter to her?
What?
Why is Viper a counter to her? What would you say?
Because if you dagger him, his E does like as much damage to you
Oh, yeah,
as
of course.
the, and he's also a ranged right clicker. Like, Quab wants to be able to dagger you and be like, okay, you can't trade with me. I'm allowed to click you like 4 times, like, because
yeah.
you lose this trade. So heroes that can dodge or dagger are bad matchups, like Puck. But usually in those matchups, you just don't level your dagger. Like, you just don't get it. You'll just go like Scream level 1 to secure the range creep. So, but even then, like, her mid game, she either has to be the guy killing people or woman killing people. So she goes Orchid, or she has to be able to farm waves aggressively while survivable. So Yules, it's usually like Orchid or Yules is your like first major item. If you're going Yules, you're more of like this utility team fighter. So you either go like BKB or Ags after that, like depending on what you need in order to fight. If you're getting an Orchid, you're usually like, this assassin on the map, so you're more so split pushing. So at that point, you either go like Lincolns to survive, or you go, like another damage item like AC or something, or sometimes it's just Orchid BKB. Like, usually it's like some item that helps you live, and then items that just help you crank it out. Like, it's either AC or Scotty or, because if you build Orchid, you're usually a right clicker in that specific game. So Quab as a hero is either that hard right clicking kill hero, or she's more of a survivable team fighter with some decent nukes. Like, that's what you basically just don't want to feed if you're behind on Quab. I usually spend her time recovering by farming lanes. So my first item, if I'm having a rough time, will almost always be Yules, and I'll be like, okay, I want to be able to farm lanes. Heroes that are annoying most so are ones like Puck, who just kill me because of coil. But most matchups are salvageable. Like, even if some of the matchups aren't that great, most heroes can't solo kill Queen of Pain. She's really bad against like high right-clicking heroes, but most notably ones that also kill her like by themselves. So like Clinks with an Orchid could be annoying. Drow can be really annoying. Faceless Void is really annoying because he's a right-clicking hero that also kills you. Anti-Mage can be annoying. She's great against heroes that get daggered and then just can't move. So she's great against like the Monkey Kings, safe lanes, the Drow or the Lunas, the Gyros, the the Bristlebacks, the Alchemists, you know, all these like stationary heroes that you dagger them and they can't move.
Yeah.
She's also okay against illusion heroes. She possesses a shit ton of burst, so usually heroes like PL can't really fight into her very well, at least for the first like 30 minutes of the game. So it's like usually the best heroes in terms of matchups, it's like all these matchups always work this way, but if a hero's like really fucking good and another hero's like not so good at like that given patch or whatever, it can make a matchup obviously different, right? Because it's like if PL scales really well against Quap, but the patch makes it harder for PL to get enough items to get there, then suddenly the Quap matchup's like really good against PL.
Yeah.
Like I think right now the Quap matchup against PL is really good, but some patches it's like unplayable. So that's why sometimes like it's not only important to understand this hero counters this hero, but it's also important to understand like this is why, you know. So if I understand, hey, this hero counters it because it has superior late game, but I'm in a patch where no games go past 25 minutes, then that's not a counter in that current patch. So it's just kind of funny because you know, I talk about the complexity of these like hero matchups, and I go in more in depth saying that it matters what patch you're on. Yeah, that's just Dota for you. Because like there's games where I'm like, I always thought this was a bad matchup, but now with this new patch, it's just not.
Do you like the new patch?
I don't mind the new patch. I think they did a pretty good job balancing the game. For the most part, they just need to nerf Spectre, and we'll call it good. Right now, if I had to recommend a carry, it's 100% Spectre. Hero's like the most brain dead easiest hero to play in the game right now, for sure. Like for anyone watching this coaching session, I keep referencing this. My Spectre win rate in my life was like 30%, like really bad. Yeah. Like look at this is the first game of this patch. Oh, you can't see it. I'm 11-1 with Spectre this patch. So
impressive.
Yeah, so I went from 30% to 11-1. So that just shows if I can win with Spectre, you guys can too. So basically,
so she's not weak against anything. Then
she pretty much has no unplayable matchups. I think last patch her only unplayable matchup was fucking Ursa because he just kind of killed you no matter how many items you had, and Ursa got the nerf bats. So I would say Spectre is honestly first roundable. If you had to first round to carry this patch, it would 100% be Spectre. Could that change in like a week? Sadly, yes. So, you know, that Spectre right now, she's got a bunch of builds. You can go drums for like mid-game team fight. You can go Meteor Hammer, which is kind of like your Midas. Like it is a farming item that sets you up for a Radiance. You can go just straight, you know, Manta Diffusal into, you know, Abyssal or Scotty or something. But you just have so many items that you can buy, and the whole idea of Spectre is she plays away from her team. So the hardest game as a player is when the opponents have like a shit ton of solo pickoffs. Like in your bracket, I probably wouldn't pick her ideally against like Slark or Anti-Mage. But honestly, in my bracket, those matchups are playable. But I would avoid picking her into carries that while they're farming can kill you. So any carries that don't kill you, the Jugs, the Lunas, the Trolls, the Terrorblades, the PLs, the PAs, none of these heroes kill you, really. So the Lifestealers, like, as long as they don't kill you solo, it doesn't really matter, like, what you're doing. So, yeah, her only weakness is getting to that, like, first or second item. Like, that's her only weakness. So, right now, what makes her so broken is that last patch, she had to deal with, like, Lycans and shit, where you might just lose your entire base by 18 minutes into the game. But that just doesn't happen. That just never happens right now. You're never getting your base pushed at sub 20 minutes in this current patch. So that makes Spectre's game plan, like, really reliable. You almost always get there. Even if you're having, like, a really rough game, if the opponent throws, like, twice, you win the game, you know? And it's very easy to throw against Spectre. As a carry, it's like very easy to communicate, hey, I have Haunt, look for plays. Hey, I don't have Haunt, be careful. That's like a perfect example of, you have an ultimate, so you play differently. It's like with Spectre, if I have Haunt, I try to play as far away from my team as possible. If I don't have Haunt, I'll usually try to farm somewhat near my team. Like this is, like that's an example of like how these heroes like to play the map.
Yeah.
But right now, I'd say Spectre's kit's pretty uncounterable. Like I would, if I had to first pick a carry, it'd be Spectre. My other carry right now would probably be Void or Anti-Mage, whatever one you would prefer. I like those.
Then I'll like Void. For some reason, I just never play Anti-Mage.
I'm not very good at anti. I've gotten a bit better recently, but I'm still not that great at anti-mage. Yeah, Void. I'd say your two builds are Midas or like Midas Mascomanus or Battle Fury Ags or like Battle Fury Manta Ags. Those are like the two builds, kind of just up to your personal preference. If you go the Midas Mascomanus, you're going like a BKB and Mjolnir. You know, you're just fucking cranking out the attack speed and putting that BKB on. If you go the Battle Fury Manta Ags build, it's more about these like long fights that capitalize on you continuously time walking and, you know, proccing your Ags and stuff. So my question would be, do you know what kind of games in general you would try to go for the Battle Fury Ags build? If you're playing Void?
Yeah, you said team fights, right? Because I guess fights where the opponent has...
Okay, so you have to understand how this works, right?
Yeah.
And this isn't meant to be insulting. So if I go like this Midas Mascomanus battle BKB Mjolnir, if you had to like portray team fights to me, what does that look like for you? You have Mascomanus, BKB, and a Mjolnir. What are you doing there? Like, paint a picture of what a team fight looks like.
For if I'm Void and those items.
Yeah, if you have a Mascomanus, a BKB, and a Mjolnir.
Yeah, I just go in there. I hit them while I'm BKB and then probably die.
Afterwards, you're gonna die, right? Or like you're using your chrono and you're gonna die afterwards. Or like if the fight's not won by that point, you lost, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I go Battle Fury Manta Ags, how do those fights look?
Yeah, you can probably live a little bit longer because you can with Manta you can dispel. And I don't even know what Axe does on the.
It makes his time walk bash people. Like when you land on the time walk, you get your proc on your bash.
Okay.
And it auto attacks them too, so it turns your time walk into like
you go in and out more of fights.
Yeah. So if I look at the opponent lineup and I look at my lineup, how would I decide which of those builds I go? It comes down to envisioning how long I think team fights are going to last.
Yeah.
Like, do I want to win by blowing my load with Mascomanus BKB Chrono at the start and winning the fight that way? Or can I continuously time walk around in fights and bash people and shit, right? Like
how would you decide that? Like,
I literally ask myself, if I time walk in once, am I just going to get blown up and die? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to go Mascomanus BKB Mjolnir, right? It's literally like, if I time walk in once, am I going to just die? And if the answer is yes, go for the build that capitalizes on time walking in once and killing everybody, right? If not, like the ideal build for Void, in my opinion, is the long drawn out fights where you're casting time walk a bajillion times. But you just have to look at the enemy 5 heroes and say, if I use time walk once, am I now dead? You know, if I don't immediately chrono them, am I now dead? Like in my last,
and that's a decision that's so hard for me to make. I understand that it's easier for you, but I appreciate you telling me.
No, okay. Here's the deal, right? I need you to make the educated guess, and then be like, okay, I remember BSJ saying, like, I think I'm going to be allowed to time walk around in fights and shit, so I'm going to go this build. And then you try it, and it just doesn't fucking work. And you're like, okay, why didn't it work? Like, what hero on the enemy team made that difficult? Or whatever. What item made that difficult? Why? Why was it difficult? And that's how you start learning these things. I'm telling you why. I'm telling you, like, all the knowledge. But the fact is, if you don't play Dota and you don't play out these matchups and you don't understand the exact matchups by virtue of experience, it doesn't fucking matter how much I tell you. Like, it just doesn't. Yeah. But my goal is to tell you, like, the parameters that make a build good, and for you to make every educated guess about, hey, like, I can build these items because these heroes can't burst me after I time walk. I don't think they can, so I'm going to go these items and look for long fights. And it's like, you know, and then suddenly you'll time walk into a fight and die instantly, and you'll be like, oh, shit. You know, maybe I should have gone.
Yeah, and then you learn, and then you understand what heroes make.
I was showing this game real quick because the only hero that kills me is Storm, really, if I look at these heroes, because as long as I have a Manta, both these heroes are silences, and this hero is single target, so the only hero that really kills me is Storm, and he had a rough start, so I could just go super greedy items. I just went Battle Fury Manta Ags, and then Silver Edge to deal with Spectre, and then because we want to fight, I was going to go BKB, but then I went Satanic, so it's like farming, survivability / damage, utility and fight / damage, kill the enemy carry, make myself live, right? Like that's like the natural progression of items here. So it's like, it's not about what item I built, it's what the item was meant to accomplish. Like that's what you want to start thinking about items. It's not about the specific item. It's what, when you're watching carries, you're watching offlaners, what was he specifically trying to accomplish with this item? Like, was he allowing himself to defend towers? Was he allowing himself to initiate team fights? Was he allowing himself to farm without dying? Was he allowing himself, to help his team roche? Was he allowing himself to frontline, so he could go into fights first, even though he's not blinking in? Was he allowing himself to be like the person getting initiated onto? What was his item doing? And that's how like the average player doesn't think. And when it comes to playing matchups and all the stuff I've preached to you about understanding matchups, your first goal is to try to analyze these matchups. But then when you're watching other people play, when you're thinking about your own items, try to think, hey, like I think I need this item so that I can time walk in and not die. So it's like in this game, I went Battle Fury and I knew I was going to go Ags, but I didn't go Battle Fury into Ags. Why not? Why do you think I went Manta before Ags? Why did I go Battle Fury, then Manta, then Ags?
Yeah, but because you wanted to be able to dispel the silence?
Yes, because if I don't have a Manta, how am I reliably time walking around?
Yeah.
Right?
I understand,
So in what game would I just go Battle Fury straight Ags with no Manta?
If there's nothing to dispel.
Yeah, they have nothing to silence me. Like, and I can just do it anyway, right? So it's like understanding the point of this Manta was that I could do that. Like that's why I went Manta then Ags.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Did you see what I'm...
Yeah, I see, but so like then it's not so hard. Like if you see Storm Spirit, you just build Manta style.
So it's just like, the thing is though, it's like I see these heroes and it's like, even if I had a Manta, if they have a bunch of AoE stuns, I have to go BKB. Because even if they have these silences, if they have a bunch of AoE stuns, I'm going to Manta, and then those stuns are going to hit me anyway, right?
Yeah, you're going to die anyway.
In this game, their only quote-unquote AoE is Earth Spirit, and that technically, isn't that reliable. I can usually dodge that. So it's like, the idea is that I have this Battle Fury Ags build. I know the idea of it is long fights that I'm going to be time walking a lot. What items do I have to buy to allow me to time walk a lot? It's like if I'm Bat Rider and I'm trying to run around the map fire flying and farming while also killing people, what items do I have to buy? It's like I want to buy Boots of Travel first almost every single game. But then it's like after that, it's like if they have heroes that kill me, I might go Yules before I go Blink so that I can survive. But if they don't have heroes that can kill me, I'll probably just go straight Blink because that's like the item that allows me to initiate. So it's like, if you understand
doesn't that also matter how good you are? I mean, if you play Bat Rider and I play Bat Rider, you could probably survive with the Blink, but maybe another player would need Yules.
Well, the thing, okay, that's like an absolutely fair point. But at the same time, I prefer to just think, what are their heroes' capabilities? Like, a perfect example of how your point would apply is if I need a Yules to live, but my team can't play if I can't Blink on them. Like the opponent, I can't actually win fights if I don't have a Blink. So in a game like that, where now it just comes down to I have to be good. Like I can't rely on buying items to protect myself. I actually just have to play well. Like I have to not get gone on and I have to Blink properly without that Yules. But if you have an item that you think you have time to farm and it makes you more survivable, you should just go it like every single time. There's no reason to be like, I'm going to challenge myself to try to live without this item. It's like there's absolutely merit to buying items for the sake of making your game easier to play. Like meaning that your room for error is just like way higher. Like your margin for error is like way larger. There's nothing wrong with that. Except for when your team really needs something from you.
Yeah.
It's like if you're an offlaner and your team needs you to fucking initiate, you don't have time for these items that make it easier for you to play. You have to buy the damn Blink Dagger. You know what I mean? Like you just have to buy it. But that's like a whole nother story. In your bracket, I would much more prefer you think about your own farming, your own survivability, buying these items that enable you to be independent, enable you to, like we talked about what these heroes want to do on the map. We talked about their matchups and shit. that make the matchup easier for you to play, that allow you to do what you want to do on your hero easier or better.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
those are the ways that you should prioritize at the 1K bracket, because really thinking about your teammates, you're like trying to enable 1K players. It's like, you know, I'm not trying to say like play your own game, but like play for your own game. Like make
Yeah,
sure you're
I
not ruining your
understand
own
that.
game. Make sure you're giving yourself the tools you need to play.
Yeah.
So
And also, it's different when you're playing pubs or with your friends. Like I play mostly pubs because I work different hours. So
yeah, for sure. Do you have any final questions before we like wrap
no,
up?
actually, I think this is. I'm very, very satisfied with how you really helped me. This was exactly what I wanted to know, and I think you gave some good examples, and you gave me good stuff to think about when drafting, which was also one of the things I wanted to learn. And just a general, like, I think the thing that that you really made me realize is you need to just think. I mean, I can't fucking make coffee during drafts. I need to like sit
Dude,
there and
I'm
make
telling you,
fast
man,
decisions
don't
and
grief
think.
yourself. Public service announcement to you and everyone else, man. That 20-second or that like 2 minutes you're in the
Yeah.
drafting phase, I've learned this lesson way too many times. Just 100% of your focus on the Dota game. Like, it has to be.
Because many things of that what you're
You will
saying, I
lose
understand
games
that.
by dicking off in that 1 minute period during the draft. Continue.
I think probably maybe in the future, if I hit a plateau, I can book another session. Maybe you can look at a replay. But for now, I think I'm just gonna use this knowledge and see how far I can get, and then maybe I can, if it works, I can talk to you again. Maybe you can watch a replay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good, man. Thanks
Thank
for,
you very much. And
yeah.
have a nice stream.
You too, man. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, really nice guy. It was an interesting coaching session.